The New York Knicks have been trying to trade Evan Fournier for the entire offseason, especially after the explosive comments that he made, saying that he had no relationship with Tom Thibodeau, and in that same interview, he was openly asking to be traded to another team. So because of those comments, the New York Knicks did try to attempt to trade him. Unfortunately, they were not able to do so. However, due to a new opportunity in the Houston Rockets organization, the New York Knicks may jump at the chance to trade Evan Fournier. However, if they do that, it could be a disaster. We're going to break down exactly what the trade opportunity could be, if the New York Knicks could do it, and what the trade package with the Houston Rockets could look like. We're going to look into this and so much more today. Let's get started. The New York Knicks could potentially trade for Kevin Porter Jr., the Houston Rockets point guard. Now, before we get into why the New York Knicks could potentially look to trade for Kevin Porter, let's look into the more serious allegations that are against this man right now. So according to multiple reports, Houston Rockets guard Kevin Porter Jr.'s NBA career is in jeopardy after he was arrested last week. He was charged with assault and strangulation after an incident in a New York hotel on September 11th. The incident involved his girlfriend, former WNBA player Kaiser Gondrezick. Now, I do want to say again, these are allegations against Kevin Porter Jr. Nothing's set in stone, nothing's been proven as of yet. However, I think I speak for a lot of people watching this video when I say, if these allegations are proven to be true, he should be in jail, number one, and number two, his NBA career is not in jeopardy. His NBA career is absolutely over. And according to NBA Analysis Network, once the Houston Rockets heard the news of these allegations, it didn't take long for them to announce that they were looking to trade Kevin Porter Jr. And not only that, they were looking to trade him even if it meant adding draft compensation to any trade package for Kevin Porter Jr. And it is fair to ask yourself, what team would want to make a deal centered around somebody whose NBA career is likely over? Well, according to NBA Analysis Network, interested teams aren't looking to acquire him to add him to the roster. Instead, it would be a procedural move to help clear some space on their roster and money off their salary cap. The Rockets are going to move on from Kevin Porter Jr. one way or another. It's just a matter of when and how. So I can understand why some teams may be even thinking about trading for Kevin Porter Jr. amid all of these allegations about what he did to his girlfriend. I can understand that. And even if the Houston Rockets want to add draft compensation to any deal for Kevin Porter Jr., I get why they're trying to do that too. They want to move on from him. They want to close the book on him. They want to get rid of him as fast as possible. That's why they're talking about adding draft compensation. They just want him rid of. They want him off the books. They want him to be somebody else's problem. And that's why they're open to trading him for any team right now. And according to NBA Draft Analysis, the unfortunate part is, depending on how you're looking at this situation, two teams to watch and keeping an eye on as trade partners for the Rockets, as shared by Anthony Amador of It's Game 7, the Miami Heat and New York Knicks would make a lot of sense as suitors in a trade. Now, before we get into why this writer believes that the New York Knicks could trade for Kevin Porter Jr., I'm going to give my opinion on it. The New York Knicks trading for Kevin Porter Jr. is an absolute disaster. It's a mistake. It looks bad on every level. On every single PR level, it looks bad. Because the New York Knicks would only entertain a trade with the Houston Rockets for a guy like Kevin Porter Jr., given these allegations, if it was only for Evan Fournier. Because he's disgruntled, and obviously the Houston Rockets want to move on from Kevin Porter Jr., so if you look at it only in that regard, it makes sense. But in my opinion, if you trade for him, you bring a problem that is not your problem right now. That is a problem in Houston. You bring it now to New York, and now it has a bigger spotlight. Yes, we understand why you did it, to get off of Evan Fournier, another disgruntled player, and obviously maybe you can get some draft picks in the process, so maybe it helps your team in that way. But again, all of that negative PR, that negative press just to get a player like Kevin Porter Jr., just to move on from Evan Fournier, I get that we want to move this player by any means necessary, regardless of anything. But sometimes, we have to put basketball aside and look at the allegations and what's being brought up against Kevin Porter Jr., the player that somebody is looking to trade for. Because once that happens, once that's on the table, in my opinion, there's no talk about trading for a player. There's talk about why isn't this player in jail, number one, if it's true, and why isn't this player's NBA career over? Because it should be. That's the case right now. And until it gets resolved, we shouldn't be talking about any type of trade. That situation should play out, resolve itself, and see what happens. Because if it's proven to be true, it's no trade, career over. If it's not proven to be true, but just given the bad press, the negative publicity, and maybe he just wants to move on, maybe then you can entertain a trade. But as of right now, given everything going on, you as the New York Knicks do not need that negativity in your organization or that toxicity in your organization. You already have enough with Evan Fournier. If you move him for another problem, it just creates another problem. Don't move one problem for another problem. It does not make sense in my opinion, even if you're selling me on the fact that this is the only way to move Evan Fournier. I don't believe it's the only way to move him, but even if it is, I don't think this is the way. But let's go into why NBA draft analysis and that writer believes that the New York Knicks are the perfect fit for Kevin Porter Jr. According to NBA Analysis Network, another team to keep an eye on is the New York Knicks. They could send Evan Fournier and his expiring contract back to Houston in exchange for Porter and draft capital. Fournier is someone that could actually be of use for the Rockets as a veteran floor spacer on a young team. The Knicks would subsequently release Porter while adding to their pool of draft capital. A roster spot would be opened up and some cap space as well, which is important in their chase of a star on the trade market. So very good job in regards to trying to sell me on why the New York Knicks should do this deal with the Houston Rockets. I still hold my opinion, but there are a lot of people in the fan base, I've read it all over Twitter, who's been stating that the New York Knicks should absolutely do this deal because in their mind, they're just trading for Porter to get picks, move off of Fournier, and then they're going to release Porter so he's not really on the team. So they're pretending like it didn't happen, like they just traded Evan Fournier, they got Porter a couple of picks, they can release Porter and pretend like the trade didn't happen at all. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. Because even if you do that, you cannot take away the bad press, the bad publicity, and everything else it brings with you when you make a trade for a player that has these allegations, regardless if he plays for your franchise or not. But I know what you're thinking. If the New York Knicks did entertain this trade idea with the Houston Rockets, what would a potential deal look like between the Knicks and the Houston Rockets if the Knicks wanted to trade for Kevin Porter Jr.? Well, thanks to NBA Analysis Network, we now have more information on what a potential deal could look like between the Rockets and the Knicks. So as you can see here, the trade would look like this. The Rockets would get Evan Fournier from the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks would receive Kevin Porter Jr., who they would release immediately, a 2024 second-round pick from Houston, and a 2025 second-round pick from Houston. If that's the deal on the table and that's the trade, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking on all of that negativity, all of that bad publicity to get Kevin Porter Jr. traded here just for 2 second-round picks and to move Evan Fournier. That's not the deal. If the Rockets want to play ball, if they want to move on for Kevin Porter Jr., they're going to have to include a first, even if it's protected. They're going to have to include a first-round pick in this deal if I'm the Knicks to make this move. Because Evan Fournier, don't forget, is still a good chip to have if you're making a superstar deal. Because a salary filler, he always works and he always matches. So he's always good to have in that regard. He's an expiring because there's a team option on his contract for next season. So he doesn't have to play for the New York Knicks after this year. They can waive him and get him off the books anyways. So if you're worried about that, really, it's only 1 more year anyways, and they could still potentially use him at the trade deadline. So I wouldn't worry about that. But if it's this trade package, second round picks, the Knicks have enough second round picks. We don't need any more, and we don't need to make this deal at all for Evan Fournier just to get Kevin Porter Jr. and those second round picks. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. I hope it doesn't make sense to Leon Rose. I hope the New York Knicks would not entertain a trade like this, especially given the allegations against this guy. I hope they will wait for the situation to resolve itself before making any move. I think Leon Rose has been smart in his approach as New York Knicks president in regards to being cautious with the moves he makes. And not only that, cautious with the things that he does as the New York Knicks president. Given the allegations here, I doubt the New York Knicks even look or entertain any type of trade with the Houston Rockets, unless maybe a potential first round pick is included in that. If that happens, maybe things change. But that's not what's being reported here. That's not what I'm hearing. And unfortunately, since that's the case, the New York Knicks have no business doing this deal. But what do you think, guys? Would you do this trade offer that you're looking at right now? Would you move on from Evan Fournier and get Kevin Porter Jr. and those second round picks, adding those picks to the war chest we already have, even though it's going to likely cause a lot of negative PR to come along our way if we make the trade? Do you think it's worth it in that regard? Or do you agree with me and believe it's not worth trading for a player that has this type of severe allegations against him? Let me know in the comments below because I would love to hear from you. But until next time, Knicks fans, don't forget to smash that like button, leave a comment below, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.